Thank you very much. Very interesting to listen to some of the comments that are made today with regards to this bill. What it's about is the newly arrived residents' waiting period to be extended from 2 years to 3 years. Newly arrived residents in Australia, migrants, chosen to leave their country to come here to our country. Do Australians want people coming here to end up on our welfare system, to get handouts? No, they don't. Nearly on a daily basis, as I travel the country and I go through rural and regional towns, I see people struggling to pay their electricity bills, to get housing themselves. Canberra, when I drive back to my apartment after leaving this place, I see many homeless on our streets, with all their goods and with all their blankets trying to keep warm on a cold Canberra's night. I speak to the defence personnel, those ones that have fought for our country, sacrificed their lives with PTSD, with their issues and problems, estimate about 4,000 living homeless who have drug problems or alcohol problems, but that's not addressed. We have families living in cars. We have Aboriginal communities that need help and assistance as well. But I hear people in this parliament worrying about those that have chosen to come to our country, that we should be looking after the vulnerable. Well, the vulnerable starts here in our own country first and foremost. Do we have to should we give them that care allowance, the bereavement allowance and the widow allowance and parenting payments in such a short time after being only here for 2 years, which they get at the moment? Or is it fair to say, prove your worth to this country, make sure that you haven't come here just for the welfare handouts? I don't think it is unreasonable to ask these people to wait an extra year. I don't think it's unreasonable to actually say to the taxpayer that you are paying the taxes in this country for your own, for the Australian people, for migrants to come here through their choice. Their choice. Make sure that you can provide for yourself, because you've really given nothing to this country, and expect to come out here and have all the handouts, because we are seeing the fools of the world. Come on down to Treasure Island. That's what Australia's all about. And to hear the people on my crossbench colleagues in this place saying that we're a very well-to-do country, well-to-do with nearly a $600 billion debt, that we pay out interest approximately around 15 to 18 billion a year in interest. What are we handing on to our future generations? Let's look at our welfare bill, around about $185 billion a year in welfare in this country. Who's going to pay for this? Or are you going to say to the people out there, "Oh, sorry, you're going to have to pay more taxes"? It doesn't cut the mustard with the Australian people. And I'm so proud of the Labor Party that you're actually now going to support this, because you can see some common sense. I don't take any notice of the Greens or anyone else in this place calling you racist, because these are migrants coming from another country. It's nothing to do with racism. This is about common sense and worrying about the Australian taxpayer out there who's had a gutful of paying their taxes constantly all the time and seeing it just go to places where it shouldn't. And to hear the Greens in this place stand up constantly all the time talking about they want more money towards health, they want more money towards education, they want more money given out here, left and right and centre, but they never come up with the policies of how you're going to do it. They can have all these handout policies. I don't hear any policy where they are going to get the money from. It is an absolute disgrace. All they're interested in, and I see them as nothing but a socialist communist party that actually wants to shut down businesses, farming, everything in this country. These industries that actually provide us the income that we can actually pay for their services in Australia. What we need on the floor of Parliament is some common sense and start respecting the Australians out there, their taxes and where that money goes. We have approximately, we spend around about $15 billion a year in welfare for permanent residents in Australia. Not those people who have taken out the Australian citizenship, who are proud to be Australians, but we pay them approximately $15 billion a year of $185 billion that we pay out in social services and welfare bills in this country. No wonder we're going further and further. It's only because, and I will give credit where credit's due, because the Liberal Party have pulled back a lot. They are bringing the budget back into surplus, but a lot of people forget about this. They don't want to talk about this. And heaven help us if the Labor Party gets the reins of this government, because they're not economic managers of this country, and they did take the debt from $56 billion up to over $270, $280 billion when they were in government last time. And it's going to be a spending spree, and they're going to destroy the housing market with their negative gearing, plus also the capital gains tax. Then on top of that, they're going to bring in death duties, plus they'll bring in the carbon tax on cars, and that's the problem that's happening over in France. So we're in for a bloody rocky road if Labor Party gets hold of the government. So it's going to be an absolute crying shame what's going to happen in Australia, and I wish they'd come forward with their policies on immigration. The numbers that are going to expand out in that as well, more refugees, and the floodgates are going to open with the 14,000 that are waiting up in Indonesia to flood here into Australia. And so where's the money going to come from with all that? How are you going to pay for all that? So I'm pleased that the Labor Party can see the writing on the wall with their policies, because they're going to then explain to the people, but they're going to pull it back. So I'm pleased to see that Labor are actually common sense prevailed to actually support the government with this bill, which is common sense. But the Greens, and here we have it, the Central Alliance, no, they believe that these people have a right to look after them. No, make that decision before you come to this country, and don't expect the Australian people to be supporting you when we can't look after our own, when we can't provide the services that we need for our own Australian people here. I will not stand in this place and represent and look after those that come here. My duty is to the Australian people first and foremost, and make sure they're looked after. Clean up our own backyard first, make sure they're provided for, then you can look after other people. But it's their choice to come here to Australia. So I do support the government on this bill, and I'll just make it quite clear, there weren't deals done, as the Labor Party will have you say. No deals whatsoever. And if my voting record goes on based on I support legislation that is right for this country and for the Australian people. That's what I do. And if Labor does end up in government, any legislation they put up will be based on its merit and is it right for this country, not based on whether you're going to buy my vote or try and convince me to get my vote. That does not cut with me. So One Nation will be supporting this bill, and I'm pleased to see it introduced on the floor of Parliament, and it's a shame to the other political parties who are not here to back the Australian people first and foremost.